It's like the architecture, I think, of the building, that idea of inside and outside.
Yeah.
Is that there's a playfulness to the whole thing.
Yeah.
We want to encourage people that art is not just this unique thing that you get to look at on the wall, as we talked about.
Inside you can't touch. Here you can touch the ropes.
And you can do whatever you want and be a part of it.
I love it.
It's amazing.
It is cool. The former director here at the PAMM, Tom Collins, said, quote, "You are one of the most talented curators of his generation."
Oh,
dang.
I know, right?
That's
sweet. I love him.
So, talk about that. I mean, what do you think sets you apart?
Oh, first off, I think that's a generous comment. I appreciate it, but it's generous. It's a fun gig. It's a challenge, and I would say that it's challenging here specifically in many ways, but I really enjoy what I do.
You have been a curator. That's what brought you here. Now you're a director. What do those jobs entail, specifically curator?
Sure.
Yeah.
I was the head of contemporary art at Los Angeles County Museum of Art, better known as LACMA. And so as head of that department, I was but one of about 30 different curators. This is the largest museum west of Chicago, encyclopedic. So within the scope of that, your job really was about putting together exhibitions, at least a couple a year, let's say, and those could range from smaller shows with one artist to large shows, 30, 40 artists. And it really was about how do we tell a story through each one of those exhibitions, which is something I love, and it's the same thing we do here on a curatorial level, working with artists, working with art objects, and then moving into the director's space. You know, it's a little bit of that, but then it's also a lot more of the development aspect, a lot more of the fundraising aspect. And I think that's a curatorial thing as well, because the curators are the ones who are so close to the artwork. They're the ones who are like the interlocutor, if you will, that can tell people or explain to people why they should love this piece, and hopefully they agree.
It's amazing, don't you see
Exactly.
it? It's beautiful.
Exactly.
Doesn't it speak to you? Yeah,
totally.
I love that.
And hopefully when they have that kind of reaction, then they want to help you bring it into the collection.
Absolutely. Franklin's passion for contemporary designs is the artist's stories behind their creations and its connection to the observer. Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm super happy to have Ebony Patterson's exhibition on view right now. She's been making paintings, drawings, textiles that often involve like real, what we would call a Baroque treatment, like super gaudy and jewels and sort of really over the top. Yes, for lack of a better word, yes. A lot of bling effects. For this exhibition, she wanted to create the entire environment for you to walk into those works. The garden becomes the backdrop instead of just a normal gallery space where you're looking at that video or the textiles that you'll see on the wall. You're seeing them in the ideal way that the artist wants you to see them.
And Franklin wants the PAMM to be seen as more than simply a place to house art, but as a conjunction for all parts of the community to intersect.
I've always desired to be a part of a civic community where truly believing that the museum is but one specific and very important place within our community. We're right across from American Airlines Arena. Last year, Justice Winslow did like a commentary about his visits to the museum. So we want to
imagine that.
I love that.
Right, bringing art and sports together.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
And we really see ourselves as being this kind of this space that can do a little bit of a lot of different things, and a place that is here for everyone.
Where did your love for art come from? Take us back to that time. And I know that you're a writer, you're a poet, you love hip hop. Yeah. So where did all of that come from?
I guess in some ways it was somewhat subconscious, right? The idea that there's an appreciation for art, and specifically for visual art, is something that I don't think I recognized until maybe halfway through school. My father definitely collected a little bit, so I found myself around artists, right? And I don't know if, I would say at that time there was definitely not a passion for it. It was a mild interest, and I was intrigued.
Looking out of the corner of your eye,
like we had a lot of older artists around, particularly painters who were working in an abstract tradition. So when I looked at the work, I was like, yeah, I can appreciate color, form, composition. And for him, I think like many collectors and many of the people we deal with here, it's not only about buying something and living with the thing, but what kind of relationship?
Which a lot of people do.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But I would say not unlike George Pèrez, who I work with a lot. There's a passion not only for the object, but for the artist behind the object. And so my father had that kind of thing. And so we would have, if there were a party or if we went to an opening, artists would be around. And I always thought these are curious characters.
Yeah.
But it's the work of gritty street artist Basquiat that changed Franklin's view of what it meant to be an artist.
He was a decade older than me at that time. It was somebody who was connected not only to painting and visual art, but was connected to writing, right? He was making poetry, he was writing it outside.
He was like a full artist.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And so he had a connection to graffiti, but he also had a connection to writers, he had a connection to music. And so the whole idea that a space for visual arts is one that is open to all of these different things, I think that's what pulled me in. I grew up with a lot of friends who would say, why does this interest you? What is so fascinating about this? And have always used that as a sort of barometer. So if I can appeal to people who have absolutely nothing to do with visual art, who some days, for the most part, could care less. So there's been this desire to
Talk about diversity in the art world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, how many people are in directorial and curatorial positions that are people of color?
I mean, you know, those numbers are still probably quite small. I mean, I think in 2014, the Mellon Foundation did a big study which looked at American museums and talked about diversity, particularly amongst people of color and women. And the numbers were frankly depressing. And so they've been a real partner in changing that landscape a bit. And so working with the Ford Foundation, we actually have a Ford Foundation Fellow here. We also have a Ford and Walton Family Foundation Fellow here. And that is aimed at diversifying the ranks for the future. We're all, you know, we're all better when we have different opinions.
Absolutely.
And when we get to see things through a variety of lenses.
This is the coolest. Right,
Yeah.
you walk in and your eye just goes right up.
Yeah, this work by Hugh Locke is just so emblematic, I think, of us, of our collection, of Miami. Nothing could possibly work this well with the immediate surrounding area, with the water and the bay right here. And although these boats are models that come from many different places around the world, it has obviously a particular resonance here in Miami.
It resonates with people
In
here,
big
especially because
ways.
of the whole Cuban-American story.
Absolutely,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Haitian,
Yeah.
and then for him, it's, you know, his family is from Guyana, but he's grown up in Europe. That whole transatlantic conversation that goes back to slavery is a big part of this conversation for him. It's a wonderful piece.
It is.
Yeah.
You're a dad, you're a husband. Talk about how your family inspires you.
I have an 8-year-old daughter, and it's cuckoo crazy. I mean, the things they say, the way that she wears something. I mean, it's just fascinating to be able to see somebody who's unencumbered by, you know, having been on the planet for longer.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You feel like there's an intuition there that is really amazing to watch. And like that experience, I think, for both my wife and I is it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's,
But that's why they always go, why? Why? Why not?
Yeah,
Why? And you're like,
there's nothing that can be said that is does not warrant a why.
Yeah.
Or a why not.
yeah, it can make you crazy.
I love that.
Yeah. How does this place inspire you? How does it make you feel being in this space?
Well, and appreciate sitting in front of the water. That appreciation, I guess, for the mix of nature versus a kind of man-made thing that we also do with nature.
Yeah.
I find inspiration in it. I find inspiration in the idea that art is a part of just everyday life.
Yeah. What do you want Franklin Sirmans' legacy to be?
I want to leave this place with a collection that is internationally known and one that people feel like they have to experience in order to understand what's happening in the moment of international contemporary art. They got to come through here. And that's what I think we're building. So.